protected in this country and also on the continent of Africa. Patrick, you're most welcome again, and we are here for the next 1 hour teaching the people. You've been teaching Makerere students, but now we join the rest of the world to teach not only Ugandans, but the rest of global citizens. How is Makerere?
Yeah, Makerere University, as you know, is a lead in terms of academics, in terms of teaching, research, outreach, and we are still standing strong as a university in terms of those 3 mandates. And currently our students, you know, they are still doing well and representing us well, especially if they go through the university. So we are still proud of the university. Currently they are doing their exams, and yeah, we are looking on to a successful end of this semester. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to thank you for the great job you're doing, especially educating Ugandans. These are future leaders, the next generation, and those that have gone through your system. We talk about soils. We are going to be joining the rest of the world to commemorate the International Day, World Soils Day.
World Soils Day, yes.
That is on 5th December. Very close. I think that is next week?
Yeah, Friday next week.
Okay, we're going to spare time to talk about that day and how significant it is to the people of Uganda, but also global citizens. But the theme, I'm so much concerned about the theme. We're going to be talking about it later on. But when we talk about, I have seen it is so much to do with health of soils and health of cities. But when we talk about soils, we tend to think about agriculture. We talk about our parents who are in the villages there, who are much concerned about the seasons and the soils, to know where to cultivate, when and what. Why should we, the urban dwellers, be concerned about soils?
Yeah, thank you, Amon. Actually, for the first time, we are seeing the international community really trying to advance this concept to the urban area. And for the first time, we are seeing the community around the world getting concerned about these cities. We've been having quite a number of celebrations about soils in different areas. But this year, we are seeing a very significant move by the international community to ensure that also we look at the soils in the cities, in the urban areas, so that we're able to really start conserving these soils, as especially with the current trends we are seeing, increased urbanization, rural urban migration, the high population. So there are many implications when we see people entering a city in large numbers. There are of course serious concerns on the environment, and one key component in the environment is soil. That we will see that as we shall keep discussing the implication that we are going to we are going to discuss here. So it's a big concern because of the high levels of pollution we are seeing in these cities. It's a big issue, especially when we see people building without a lot of concern on the environment, a lot of sealing, a lot of paving in the cities. We are seeing floods. So there are really many issues that we need to be concerned about as city dwellers. And of course, that's why the international community has thought it wise that for this year, we should look at the soils, but also somehow increase the awareness about that important resource that we always step on as we come to work, as we travel. So this, I think, is an opportunity for the country and the people in the cities to know that also these soils in the city can be very, very useful, and we need to really embrace and keep the soils healthy.
Many people would say that this theme is so much to do with the developed countries, congested cities, and when it comes to Africa, we seem to be having plenty of soil, plenty of land, not even that which is not yet utilized. Should we be bothered about this?
Yeah, we need to be bothered because if you look at the cities, I don't think we have now much land in the cities. Yes, in the rural we have a lot of land, but in the city we have the limited land, but we can use that land very well. In fact, that's why I think the soil scientists around the world are really concerned about.
Because I've seen, I haven't traveled so very much, but I've seen in some places a building after the other, and people have opted to even constructing on top of the others. But when you see some places in Kampala, even here Nile Avenue, from one building to another, it will take you 1 kilometer or even some meters. And one would say, why should bother? It is something that we need to look into, especially in the future.
Yeah.
Is the future near, or we don't need to worry?
I think we need to worry because you see currently in our cities we have challenges of even food insecurity. There are many Kampala dwellers, or even these cities, there are people who don't have land, but also there are those who have some bits of land that's not yet utilized. So you can actually use that little land to survive in terms of food security. So the future, we need to actually worry about tomorrow. Yes, we might have made some mistakes in the past in terms of how we have been planning. I think you're aware that people who are doing production on the roofs. They're trying to design homes with roofs. That's where you can do some bit of production. There are also people who are very intentional in management of their homes, home gardens. You find, yes, you are going to pay.
People have resorted to use of plastics.
Yeah, to do some farming.
Some containers, and people have flowers, people have food.
Yes.
Onions and some vegetables.
Yeah, so there maybe it has, for those who are aware, they have been able to do that.
And those who are not aware,
I think we need to be interested to know and actually increase the awareness that actually you can survive in the city and do production on the farm, in a small farm, in a small compound, and then do some bit of high value crops there, do some bit of production, conserve some parts, keep some parts of your home green.
Is it very possible? Some people would say, I have a limited space, I do not have good soils, where should I get them? I am living on the 6th floor, I live in an apartment, I live in a hostel. How should we engage ourselves in production, especially we that live in the city?
Yeah, so I think we in the city, we can do some bit of production, especially many of us actually, we have other dwellers whom they will have relatives who have actually a slightly bigger piece of lands in the city, and sometimes we don't engage them to do this production together. But also, as you said, people have been adopting.
The land is lying idle there.
Yeah, some people have been adopting, as you say, some bit of simple farming, plastics. They get some plastics that are waste. They get some soils, do some simple farming. Even if it's an apartment, there are people doing farming in an interesting way in these apartments and in these cities. I mean, you make something. You think through a simple process and you'll be able to do some farming in a simple. You said it starts with an idea, an interest. If our people have interest in producing, for example, producing some dodo in your apartment or in your homestead, you can think about it, and there are ways that have been proved to be working in terms of production at a small scale. But you're able to do farming in your home in a simplistic way, but somehow you're able to cut off that cost you would be spending to go to Kalere market or to Nakasero market to buy some greens or to buy some foodstuffs. So it's something we need to really start thinking about and embrace simple things, but at least cut off those costs that you could have actually incurred when you go to those markets. So it's possible to live in the city and also some bit of. But also, in our cities we have some families that are doing poultry and rabbit. They're taking care of rabbits. They are doing simple things that if we really embrace the whole system, I think we can survive and embrace this. And even there are those actually who have intention, like if they are setting up the compound, they pave, yes, they have a section they pave, Then there is a section they live under grass, what we call lawn, and then there is a section they live for farming. So you find some homes that have some bit of banana plantation nearby in a home, and some bit of cabbages. Some have high value crops. So you can see that needs some bit of planning, some bit of thinking, and some bit of reorganizing your home. And you have some part paved, yes. You have some part under lowland, maybe lawn, what we call grass, but also some other part with some food. So that's possible, and you see that.
But you're
now
talking about people who have enough space. But there are those who have limited spaces. But there are also those that have gone, I don't know, modern, should I say, that every day we are advancing. And one would not see the importance or significance of keeping that lawn or grass, and they are opting for pavers, they are opting for artificial materials that they use to decorate and make their compounds beautiful. And one would ask, especially those who are becoming so modern, why should I keep soil in my compound?
Well, that's why the World Soils Day, we are trying to promote this kind of thing, renewed thinking, because you see, soil is a living system. It's a very living system. Actually, we normally say in soil that soil is not just dirt. We normally try to keep dirt away from us.
True.
You keep dirt, it is dirt, and that's the challenge. You look at soil as it is dirt, but we forget that actually it's a living body, it's a living system, and that means that we need to protect this system, because it's what keeps us living and surviving as human beings, even in our environment. So it's a very important resource. So our people in Uganda who think that probably they don't need this dirt in their compounds, in their homesteads, I think it is time to start rethinking and try to look at soils as a very important resource. In other words, yes, we know we need the pavers, as I've already mentioned, but you can deliberately replan your home and keep some greening components in it, because there are really good benefits with greening in a home that one has to look at, and that will help us preserve some bits of soils.
Yeah, I've seen people going ahead, instead of keeping that soil and plant there, lavishing flowers. We have opted for even artificial flowers. You reach in someone's compound, the artificial flowers in their living rooms, as if we are getting rid of that dirt that you called.
Yeah, I think you have a point there, because really that's the feeling that
because
we
our
are
artificial
observing.
things now do not need soil. If we are opting for artificial flowers, why would I need soil in my compound or even my house? Gone are the days when you would have a pot there, very big flower, and your pot is filled with soil, very fertile, and every day we would put water there.
Yeah.
But now an artificial plant or flower doesn't need that soil and watering of every day.
Yeah, but I think that's where we have to increase the sensitization bit of it.
Sure.
And actually there are ways we can live in. In our cities we have a challenge that if you increasingly seal these soils, seal the surfaces with a lot of paving, with a lot of all the parkings are tarmacked. You look at the different roads, they are all tarmacked. So automatically that has an implication on the runoff in our cities, serious impact on runoff. And of course, any good environmentalist will be concerned. But however, if we are mindful of the fact that we can actually do the little things in our homesteads and possibly maintain that green part in our home, it means you are going to allow more water infiltration, and that water infiltration is very, very important, because water will percolate into the system, and of course that means it will enter into the mainstream after some time through the infiltration process. But now you are paving the whole surface, everywhere is paved, and of course that means we're going to have very rapid runoff that will end up in the low-lying places in the city. And of course that comes with plastics, sediments, all kinds of wastes, just because of the runoff. It goes with all kinds of things. And that is where we are really getting concerned. And you see, if the whole, for example, if the whole of Kampala, if the whole of our cities, we say anyone constructing, anyone building, maybe it is by bylaw that you have maybe half paved, half under green, it really contributes significantly to cutting down these runoffs, because most of the water we are seeing is actually just being not well managed. And it starts from what we are doing in our homes. At least in terms of contribution, you see that small contribution. And of course, if you are quite a number of people, it becomes a really significant contribution to runoff. So it's something we need to think about. Start small, do something simple in your home. Even if the law is not there, but we need to just be sensitized that you can have this kind of greening in your home, but also some bit of sealing the surface. Since that is still a problem to some people, we can allow some bit of sealing, but let's ensure that there is some bits of allowing natural environment remain in our homes, and also keep the soil healthy. You know, soil healthy, that's what we need as soil scientists. We need healthy soils for a healthy future, and that is it.
Interesting. But also I'm learning that we are trying to limit our aeration and also oxygen, because if we are to count how many artificial flowers that are in our hotels, in our homes, compared to the natural plants that we'd have, you can imagine an entire apartment having artificial flowers instead of having natural plants, which would give you oxygen at the end of the day. We are suffocating in our own houses because we have not embraced nature. Interesting. Let's look at population. Let's talk about waste management. Let's also look at the construction, because when we talk about urban planning, it is so much to do with construction. Where do they get the soil, and how should we manage the soil? But also, how should we manage our waste? Because if you are to see, when we talk about soil health, and we talk about waste management, it affects the soil so very much. How should the Kampala people, Jinja, Mbarara, Tororo, Fort Portal, be able to plan ahead and have soils which are healthy? Because when we have healthy soils, as you said, we have healthy cities and healthy lives of the urban dwellers.
Yeah, yes, actually, the issues of healthy soil, as we really look at it, is very important. And you see, currently, most of the construction we are seeing in the cities, of course, they need a lot of soil, sometimes in filling these, disturbed areas. And of course, the big question is, where is this soil coming from to support all these production systems and construction, the infrastructure? So those are the issues that we really need to start imagining. But also, are we replacing where we are getting these soils? So there are all these kind of things that are happening. And of course, if you look at currently the trend, actually, when you are setting up a structure, for us in soil science, we are concerned because the topsoil is always the first to suffer. We normally disturb the topsoil, remove it from the surface, and then, of course, sometimes dump it somewhere because you need a strong, maybe, structure where to set up your building. But anyway, at the end of the day, this is okay. Yes, you are constructing. But is there a policy that regulates all these movements of soils? Maybe I've not come across one. But you see, we sometimes mishandle these soils. And of course, actually there is what we know in soil science, that actually it takes thousands of years to generate about 1 centimeter of soil.
Yes.
So that's why soil scientists were really keen about soil, because once you lose it from the surface, either through excavation, or you lose it through runoff, soil erosion, you just lose that soil into the water systems. Then
we should be worried, because when it rains here in Kampala, floods everywhere, and the soil erosion is taking place in every corner of the city.
We must be very worried, because any soil you lose, actually for us, we know you can end up with those soils ending in the Mediterranean Sea. It's possible, because once the soil enters the mainstream, the different mainstreams, the different river streams, different water systems, you don't know where it is ending. And it all comes from the fact that you have failed to stop it from where you would have done your best to stop it from being lost. So once we lose it through erosion, through this kind of disturbances of our system, because you are constructing these big structures. So it goes back to what you're really concerned about, that what is this future we are going into if we don't care about the soil health status, wherever we are, even the cities? Are we mindful about how we move these soils from different locations to do construction? Do we do kind of controls to ensure that we preserve on site what we found there? Do we allow this soil to be lost, into different ecosystem, to water systems, and you lose it completely and forever? This is, we normally tell farmers in those highlands, on Mount Elgon and Kabale High and Rwenzori, please conserve your soils on site. Conserve your soils on site. Don't allow it to leave your farm, because once it goes in form of sediments into, in form of runoff, due to soil erosion, it ends up in very complicated destinations which you cannot recover. Sincerely, you can't recover soil that has already entered this river stream, the river systems. So it is gone, it is gone. And that's why wherever we are, even the cities, when you see floods, the floods are just not happening as floods. There is a lot of stuff. These floods, this water, it's moving with a lot of sediments, moving a lot of our soils, quality soils.
Every day we lose.
Yeah, we are losing. And that's something we must be really sensitive about as Ugandans, and get stronger to increase the awareness.
But there are things that Dr. Patrick, that are beyond me as an individual, as a Ugandan, as a Kampala city dweller, or any other urban city that you can talk about. Let's look at the contribution of government in safeguarding, putting safeguards, especially in protecting our soils, to make sure that we don't lose a centimeter that we can recover in 1,000 years.
Yeah, government actually has been supportive in the issues of soil. Currently, they have been advancing the Uganda Soil Institute that is going to be established in Bustema University. Of course, Makerere University also has been supporting the process to ensure that we have the Uganda Soil Institute. So government is already thinking about this in terms of...
We had one at Makerere, right?
We have one National Soil Institute that is at Bustema.
Okay.
So you see, government already knows the importance of these soils. And I think this is a positive development in terms of conserving the soils. But also, of course, there are other challenges, especially with soil scientists. We have very few soil scientists in the world. And surprisingly, it's a discipline where we get few young people taking up the discipline. And that has caused a very big gap around the world of people who can help countries to really conserve the soils, manage the soils well, devise ways we can really protect the soils, even manage the soils in terms of fertility, improving productivity. So we have few experts, very few experts around the world. And that's a big challenge, The university, as Makerere University, we have been really concerned. We are one of the lead universities training soil scientists in Uganda. You may find we have 5 master students. So what does that tell you? There's a big challenge in terms of capacity. But of course, as we talk about these issues, government at least is supporting these efforts in capacity. But of course, we may need, I think, more effort to train more experts, because that's a big gap in terms of boosting productivity and also conserving these soils. But also, we need experts who can contribute to policy, people who can put down documents in a professional way. So those gaps are still really evident, but government, I think, also in the context of different organizations like the Ministry of Agriculture, I think they have units that are responsible for soil in the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Also, Ministry of Water and Environment is really doing a good job in what they are calling restoration of catchments. They are restoring most of our sites in Uganda, which have been degraded. You see, again, it's not good to come at this stage to recover something which is degraded. Why? Because we did not protect it earlier. So we found that actually most of our soils have been already lost. We have lost soils. So the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, they have been trying to set up projects that can restore, you see, degraded soils, degraded landscapes, and that is very costly, very costly. And I think that's where, as a country, we need to really increase the awareness and stop this loss, which is very hard and very expensive to restore. I told you, once you lose just few centimeters, few inches of soil, it's really quite challenging to restore. So we need really to engage as Ugandans, engage with various stakeholders, protect our soils. Let's know that the future of the next generation will actually depend on our soils. Actually, will be the primary source first for them to have a very good future. So it's important for us to really embrace it. We know there are policy issues as well. There are gaps. I think we need also gaps, as I mentioned, in the cities. We don't know how these soils are moving for construction. Then we also have challenges with the different soil management plans and soil management approaches. We need some bit of policy to guide us. If you are having a soil, for example, soils in Karamoja, not the same like the soils in Ankole. It's not the same as soils in West Nile. They are not the same. So we need to get soil-specific interventions.
How do we tell? How do we measure? Especially we ordinary Ugandans to know that this is important. I shouldn't tamper. I shouldn't dare. It is the right time I involve the. Is there any way we can tell, or we still need to come to Makerere and seek your guidance as the experts?
No, I think most of Ugandans can know the current situation on the soils actually. If some of them, of course, we can see soils being lost. We can also see that soils are losing productivity. Any good farmer will know these soils to be productive. It has lost fertility, but also they know soil is being lost. They see, dirty waters in these streams. That's, of course, those are issues of
those are indicators.
Yeah, of very significant losses in the waters, into the waters. So
by the
most
time
of
I
us
see
know
those small signs, I should be worried and
yeah, we should be extremely. Actually, there is a president in the US who said that a nation which destroys its soil, a nation which destroys its soil, destroys itself. That's a very serious statement. So of course,
from a head of state.
From head of state, I think in his at that time, I think he realized, hey, if we don't conserve this soil, we are destroying our nation. It's a simple issue, and it's a fact. Because now, actually, if you see areas which are highly degraded in Uganda in terms of productivity, most of our people have decided to move out from those sites to look for virgin areas. What does that tell you? So we're all going to move.
It's no longer safe for them.
Yeah, it's no longer productive. They cannot get some money. They cannot get good yields. They cannot. Basically, it's what we call a poverty trap. So in a trap, the soils are not productive.
Now, I'm starting to realize how significant soils are, and I think it is the right time the government now steps in to be one of the resources that the government needs to put a lot of emphasis, like security, because if we are losing soil every day, that means we are not going to be having food in the future, because we have to get food from the soils. Now, if we are losing soil, we are losing food.
That is it. And that is actually, we are losing the primary fact, food, because really, we need to really take the soils as a very primary. So you see, when you have a situation whereby you think the soils can give you something, but also be mindful about the future. You see, yes, the soil can be supporting you now, but the more you harvest these nutrients out of the system, the more you deplete the system. Actually, you see it in Ushenyi when we actually I call it moving the matoke bunches, the bunches of matoke from Bushenyi to Kampala. Those trucks you see, there's what we call nutrient export. You're exporting nutrients from one region to another region. Of course, that means when you're exporting, it means you are depleting the nutrients in Bushenyi and bring them into the city. So, again, the city people don't recycle these nutrients in their environment. They dump them into, you know what they do with our waste. It is dumped somewhere and it's not recycled. So, the whole system really, we need to look at it comprehensively and ensure that we look at the future, very, very important, and sensitize the public about the importance of conserving soil. Because today for us, we know in soil science, soil is wealth. There is nothing you will talk about without soil. It is a very important resource and very wealthy resource. It can make you what you want to be. However, what we need to do is to preserve it, conserve it, and ensure that we sustain its health. Sustaining health means you are sustaining its functioning for, supporting human health, even animal health, even environmentally to have good quality soils. So it's something we need to reflect about as Ugandans.
Talking about cities, what should the city authorities prioritize, especially in putting these safeguards and protecting these soils? Because people continue dumping, people continue constructing every day. Now, an LC5 officials from KCCA division, Nakawa, Makindi, those division officials, what should they do to make sure that they protect the future of this country?
Thank you. I think this is an important question. One sure way I think that we need, that most of our communities need to do, especially in these cities. These cities normally have what we call the infrastructure plans, physical plans. And those physical plans, it seems we don't follow them to the dot. So at the end of the day, we have not been doing a good job to preserve some of the little soils we have that could support us. But also, even when we are doing construction, even if the city authorities are not there, you see, people are constructing on these hills of the city. We have many hills in the city. There are people who have constructed on those hills top. Then there are those who are staying at the bottom. Those two don't meet at all. So this guy on the top, and this fellow whose residence is just at the bottom part of the hill, they don't meet. And we know this runoff starts from top. So
which affects someone who is living.
Yes, so there are some bylaws that most of our urban authorities, city authorities need to think about. The two have to coexist in an integrated way. Look at the landscape approach. In that small hill where you are staying, have a landscape approach whereby all of you meet as a community and regulate this runoff. So those are things that we can do in the simplistic way, in a simple way, and we're able to control this runoff. So we can preserve the soil if people were working together and knowing the danger, and that's what we call a landscape approach. The guy on top and this guy at the bottom of the hill, you are all working together to stop this runoff. But also you can see, you will agree that in our compound, let's have greening as a must in that landscape. Let's have greening. So you can see, you really can contribute significantly to soil health and protecting our soils in the city. So the city authorities, I think, can do something in conserving the soils, but also promoting awareness that if you seal the surfaces so much, you are likely to cause problems with runoff and disturb our ecosystems.
Interesting, our dear viewer. I want to believe that you are really learning a lot. If you have a very artificial plant or flower in your living room or even your balcony or anywhere. It is high time you start thinking of how to have those natural plants in your house, in your compound, in your office. It is part of your way of improving our soils, protecting our soils, but also to live a healthy life. We're talking about healthy soils and healthy cities, and I do have a privilege and honor to have a very special guest in the studios of U24 Television from Makerere University, and is Dr. Patrick Msinguzi. Is the soil scientist and lecturer from the same university. Let's go into the steps that me, who has listened and watched you on this television set, and also been noting down, how do I improve, what are the steps that I can take from a household level before we go to the community level to improve soil in our spaces?
Yeah,
because I've realized that you have talked about those indicators that show that we have already lost soil. Is there any way I can restore it?
Yeah, I think that is an important question. Actually, as I mentioned, it's always good to prevent. You know, prevention is better than what? Cure. So, well, once you lose these soils, it's not all gone. There are possibilities of really working on your soils and trying to improve the health condition. But of course, it starts by trying to stop the bad practices that were initially there. That's the first thing. For example, we also know pollution is another challenge in most of our soils. We have chemical pollution, we have all these solid wastes, we have all these kind of things that are disturbing our soils. Can we actually change and try to be mindful of pollution, dumping plastics, dumping wastes, dumping, all these things, in the cities? It's really massive. There's a lot of waste, and it's a big threat by then in soil pollution. What we are doing in our homes, in our cities, industrial pollution. So let's stop first doing the wrong things, because that's the first thing, both at macro level, because there are things which as me I may not control, but an industry needs to stop to pollute the environment. But also me at home, if I'm to restore, I need also to stop some bad practices that probably have been involved in. So how we can restore the soils? One, potentially we can start also retaining residues. For example, you don't burn the residues. If you have residues at home, please don't burn. Just put back the residues back to the system, into the soil environment. It will be very, very useful to restore your soils. But also, of course, in the rural setting, we've been advising our farmers to apply some bit of organics and inorganic fertilizers to restore some of the degraded landscapes to support production. But in the town, we can really also try to do the right things, try to restore, use a lot of these wastes we see, reuse these wastes, don't just burn these wastes, don't just throw away the waste. You invite trucks to just take away the waste. It can be a good organic matter source to restore your soils. But also, let's try to deploy practices that are pro-soil health. Like there are some pavers that have been developed that you can actually put in your home, and they actually have a double benefit. They allow water to infiltrate, but also they allow you to get the dust out, since that is a real problem. So that you can have some of those practices deployed, and you can have a healthy soil that will support the food at home probably. Even you have a quality environment, and of course you're able to sustain a healthy family.
But you also, the experts, you realize that modernity is taking us very holistically, but also very swift, and I would expect you to come up with recent research to blend in development, modernization, but also protection. I want to believe that that of papers is a very good initiative. But also looking at, you were talking about very few people turning up to take up those courses to do with soil, but also there is limited information. Even those that have opted for that, there are gaps still, data gaps that still exist when studying soil health. And that is a very serious concern when it comes to you, the experts. And one wonders what has limited you to provide this data, this information to those that need it.
Yeah, I think with the data, it's a big challenge, and but of course, as researchers, you know, you cannot do research without facilitation, without funding, without a proper plan, without a proper research design. So we have the, at least for us who are in this field, we have good expertise around that can do very good research work, that can do proper data collection. So we have the capacity to support any data resource that you may need. However, we're sometimes limited by funding. And of course, in research, since the human resource and expertise, we have some expertise, we can do a lot of that. For example, currently we are supporting the soil mapping exercise for Uganda.
What is that about?
We are supporting, we are, as Makere, we are working with the NARO, National Agricultural Research Organization, to identify which soils and which types and which classes are in Uganda of soils.
That's a good one.
So we are trying to support that. So there's data we are collecting. That information is very important for policy, it's very important for government, it's very important for research, it's very important for farmers. Because for the first time we shall be understanding how soils actually vary. Because we have very many soil types in Uganda. Well, people think, sometimes you may think you have one soil or two soils. We have very many soils.
That would be a very good one in promoting cooperative advantage, especially we shall know that in Chegezi, that is known for Irish, maybe they could have another crop to grow there, which they never knew.
So we do crop suitability assessments. After knowing the soils, we can know, oh, this crop is suitable here. But also we can remove the fears. People have been fearing that, hey, this crop doesn't grow here in northern Uganda, or this crop does not grow here in Tororo. So with all this kind of work, but also in Kampala, we've been assessing these soils. But also we have been getting data about some soils which are supporting other sectors like infrastructure. You know, the Maram soils that are quite on demand. So you can see all that can be mapped. So data is possible if well facilitated, if the research is well facilitated. There's a lot that we can get out of research to feed the policymakers and support sustainable systems and production systems. Yeah.
From your research ever since you started in this industrial field, are there surprising results that you have come across and you say, wow, we would have started a long time ago, we are late, would have started yesterday? And what are those in that we can keep them at the back of our mind, especially those that do littering and destroy the environment?
Yeah, in terms of things that we probably have done, or that probably with our team members, what we are doing, one interesting thing is, you know, when we do soil assessments in our labs and soil tests, we have noticed that you can actually maximize productivity by doing intensive farming, where you do proper management of the soils with good management of the pH, management of the micro and macronutrients. I mean, simple package can make miracles in production. And I think in some areas we've been able to see amazing results in terms of just using the indigenous cultivars, indigenous species. We just do proper management. We've been seeing real yields by doing simple things in proper management of the soil. That's something which I've liked in terms of research, that actually our soils can be managed well. So if you've been producing on average 1 ton using the what we call the local genotypes, or the local varieties. If you just do a slight management of these soils, proper management, you can really get surprised what this local variety can give you. You can get very good yields. That's something I've really liked. That means that some people are adopting very new varieties before looking at the potential of our local. Why? They have not looked at the soils closely and managed the soils very well. So that's something which I feel I've liked in terms of research, that you can actually reach the potential. Remember, in Uganda, we don't put a lot of irrigation emphasis. So all those things we have seen, they are doing a lot of miracles in our research agenda. But also now we've been seeing climate change. These soils are losing gases into the atmosphere, greenhouse gases. That's another thing which has also become interesting to us, to me, because we have not quantified these greenhouse gases very well. But this, again, the soil generating these gases. And when you see climate change, who is responsible for this climate change? The driver of all this is what we are doing on these soils and also on our system. So when these greenhouse gases, of course, are lost into the atmosphere, you know, they cause what we call global warming. And then you have what we call climate change. So I think that's something also we are getting interested in soil, in research, to help the country know that actually if you do this practice, you are cutting. If you do this practice, you are worsening these gases. If you do this kind of management, you are likely to, you know, reduce these emissions. So again, this is all interesting work, because as a country, if assuming all of us adapt or adopt a good practice, we are likely to have really emissions minimized across the country. So again, soil health is what we are talking about. Soil health, we need to sustain its proper functioning so that it supports productivity, it supports quality environment, even climate smart. We need climate smart environment that are really not so much emitting, so that we stay in a good environment with limited effects of climate change.
Interesting. Talking about your recent findings, especially from Kering University and those global studies, I am wondering which parts of the city, especially talking about Kampala, particular places where people are at risk and they should take concerns, or any other city in this country and also in East Africa, where do you say that you people who are staying in these places, you need to be very conscious?
Yeah, actually in Uganda, we all need to be very serious with ourselves, across the cities, across regions. I think it is time for us to deliberately be more serious with the environment. And of course, there are areas which we are calling hotspot areas, that really, these are really bad law, that we need to be more attentive to them. But also there are areas which we need to really preserve so that they don't go into the hotspot zone, because also there is that possibility of going into the hotspot zone. So
which are those that are so much vulnerable?
Yeah, there are areas like these highland areas, like you go in southwestern Uganda, Mount Elgon, Rwenzori. These are really high-risk areas in terms of erosion, but also in terms of soil loss and infertility. Actually, also they're very infertile. They're really bad, and so those are really areas that we are concerned about. I know Ugandans are still in those areas and they are producing, but their production really is very bad, very low. So even in these cities, we have to be concerned, because you see, you are taking quality water. I mean, you are taking dirty water. This water, we are the same people who are polluting it, and through the process that we well know, in terms of, increased runoff and all these kind of waste depositions in this water and sediments, and all these kind of materials dumped in the water. So it is the whole country. We need to be sensitized. Those who are in hotspot zones, we need to tell them to restore and improve and see how to survive even amidst very poor soils. Then those who are still having some good soils, let's encourage them to actually conserve the little they still have. because I told you there are people have been migrating from one location to another for virgin soil. But remember, that virgin soil also is going to be degraded, going to be, actually it's going to lose the nutrient status not long. No, I mean, in a few years, or you'll have also soils degraded. Why? So it's important that even those who think they're on good soils, preserve it, conserve it.
I was reading somewhere that in the next 50 to 60 years, we shall not be having soils, fertile soils that we're talking about. Now, if we're talking about, that research was based on human activities, that if this continues, that in 50 or 60 years, we may not have fertile soils. And one wonders, those who are going to be there up to that time, how are we going to be surviving?
I think we
need to secure the future now.
Yeah, we need to plan. That's why I think we need to do it now. And that's why I think this sensitization we are doing is very important. We need to do it now, because if we don't do it now, the future for sure we don't know. We don't know. Other people have been saying maybe we shall go to other regions that are still having fertile soils. We can migrate. You can migrate to another region. You go to your neighbor countries maybe and survive there. But I think that's not a good way of thinking. The best way is to look into the future and really do something now. If you go to developed countries, there are practices they completely erased from their systems. For example, burning residues, leaving soil bare. Those are really bad practices, because you leave bare soils, it will just run to its destination and you lose it forever. There are places in Nakasonga we visit where you see the place has been completely, eroded. You are now dealing with the subsoil, and subsoil is totally infertile. You cannot do anything on that farm. We have seen those places, and it's because of failing to conserve the litter on site and preserve it. So we need soil water conservation on site. We need the on-site, what we call management of the, the soils, doing a lot of residue retention, doing a lot of soil fertility improvement, and boosting productivity. Otherwise, the future is going to depend on us to do something now, so that we don't risk and put the future generation at the higher risk.
There is a lot to talk about when it comes to soil health, but I would love also to call upon people to observe and also join the rest of the world on the Global Citizens to commemorate the 5th of December, especially the day that we have dedicated to protecting our soils. How are we going to handle that in our country? Do we have a specific celebration? How are we going to be engaging Ugandans on that day?
Yeah, as a country, we are, as a soil science site of East Africa, we have organized an event tomorrow at 2 p.m. where we shall sensitize the public about city floods, soil surface sealing, and also food insecurity. What can we do? But also on 5th December, we are going to have a hybrid at Makerere University. We shall have a physical meeting and hybrid discussion on soil health for cities. And of course, we expect the public to participate, but also wherever we are, we expect all of us really to do something about sensitizing both the policy, at policy level, let's sensitize more on soils, even at wherever we are, farming level, farmers, wherever we are, we can do something to ensure that we have healthy soils for the future. Really, this is a very serious matter in terms of our future. And of course, we really request the government also to start taking up some of these issues, especially on soil, seriously. As a country, we need to preserve the little we have. Let's not go like some countries which have worsened the scenarios. Let's, as a country, preserve these soils. Let's protect these soils. Let's look forward for a good future where our children have productive soils as well. So I think that's what we are going to have in the next few days. Interesting.
You can join them at Makerere University and also tomorrow to be part of this engagement, but also to be part of the history making. This is a concern to all of us, and we must really join hands to make sure that we protect our soils. Time is not on my side. I was enjoying the conversation and also learning from the professor and the lecturer from Makerere and soil science, but I have to end here our discussion. I will request to give you parting shots as we end our conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, viewers. We just want to continue reminding you throughout these few days. We are going to continue increasing our engagement with the public, increasing awareness about soils. But remember, a country which destroys its soils actually destroys its future. So any country which destroys its soils, of course, destroys the future. So let's look at the soils closely, wherever we are. Let's protect the soil. Let's be involved in at different levels with different partners. Let's engage government. Let's engage all partners. Ensure that at least we have good policies. We have at least a good stand on soils wherever we are for improved soil health and productivity, but also for the economy. We need a very good soil for our economy.
Interesting. That brings us to the end of our conversation. I want to thank you, Dr. Patrick Musinguzi, for making time to come through and educate the people of Uganda on U24 and on the state of affairs. Tonight, in today's edition, we're looking into the state of soils, especially in cities. Healthy soils, healthy cities, and you'd realize that they promote healthy lives. It is very important to be part of the cause and protect that soil that you have. If you have artificial flower, if you have anything to do with artificial, please spare some time and you have some place that you can protect that soil and be able to be those millions of your global citizens and Ugandans that are protecting the soils. Because we say that in 50 years and 60 years, if you don't protect the soil, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren may not have good food that you have today. So it is better you secure the future by securing that soil and protecting it, because it may be very next to impossible to restore it. Until next time, same station, same program on the state of affairs from